Can't tell if you guys can hear Despacito. Someone at the pool is having a great party. Happy Sunday, guys. I am Kara and welcome back to Girl with a Mic. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to call this kind of weekly wrap up, uploaded on Sundays edition, but I'm not sure. If you have any ideas or suggestions, let me know in the comments down below. But with that, let's just get started. Okay, to say I'm hungry is like a gross understatement, so we're gonna start off with the food story. So this week, Amazon, a huge global retailer, online retailer, announced that they were going to acquire Whole Foods, or that they put in a bid to acquire Whole Foods for a ticket price of $13.7 billion. Now, for those of you who don't know, Whole Foods is like an organic produce grocery store. They sell other things, but that's what they're known for, and it's huge, especially among like millennials and people who've got like that extra disposable income. So Amazon has acquired other companies before, but nothing like Whole Foods. So to give you guys a bit of perspective, they acquired Zappos, which is a online shoe retailer, and that was $1.2 billion. And then Twitch, which is more like a YouTube for gamers, and that was only $1 billion. Was $1 billion. So that's about over 11 times more than they've ever paid for another company to bring into the Amazon product and service range. So I'm sure, or I imagine, some of the questions are going to be around, so why is Amazon buying Whole Foods, which is a grocery store? Aren't they supposed to be all techie and hip and innovative and fast forward or forward thinking? And to answer your question, yes, that's what Amazon is supposed to be, and that's exactly what they're doing with this new acquisition. Amazon, as you guys probably know, has a ton of distribution centers where they hold and store all of the products that they sell online. And the issue, I'm getting long-winded now, but the issue with groceries and food is that tends to be perishable. Not everything is like canned soup. A lot of it has to do with fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, which don't store well. They have a very short, very limited shelf life, which means they have to be consumed quickly. That's gonna drive up shipping costs and operational costs. But having these Whole Food centers where they can probably just pick up some like, I don't know, Whole Foods nacho chips, that's what I personally love. They can just pick that up and have it delivered to a Amazon Prime customer within hours. That's huge. That's a huge thing, and it's gonna drive up their efficiency on their food deliveries. So another question that I have is, okay, what does that mean for other grocery stores or food retailers in the US or even globally? When Amazon first came onto the scene, they were selling books, and publishers were like, whatever, this online retailer, what are they gonna do that we can't do better? We've been in this business longer, they have nothing on us. And then now look, no one really goes to bookstores. Bookstores are closing. It's cheaper to buy books on Amazon. They've driven down prices, which is great for the consumer, but not great if you're in the publishing business. So we can see how Amazon tends to go in and kind of transforms an industry, and that's basically what they're going to do with the food industry, in my opinion. So people need to be scared. But let's look at two companies. That looks like four. Let's look at two companies. And first, I want to talk about Instacart. It's an app you use on your phone or even your computer, and you can basically grocery shop. It has like a wide selection. You can get produce, you can get chips, junk food, ice cream, more ice cream if you want. I want. So you can get all of these things, and then once you purchase them, they'll be delivered to your door within a few hours. And they were actually working with Whole Foods, so that's where the tricky part comes in. They have a distribution deal with Whole Foods where if you use Instacart, you can purchase some Whole Foods produce. There's a bit of uncertainty there because Instacart has this deal with Whole Foods, but now Whole Foods will be acquired by Amazon. So what's Amazon going to do? Are they going to use Instacart's technology to help them really improve this food delivery process that they have with Amazon Fresh? Or are they going to kind of like leave Instacart out to dry? Other company that we need to keep an eye on is Walmart. So Walmart and Amazon have been doing this kind of like dance to see who could take over like global e-commerce, and Amazon has been winning, especially with Prime 2-day free shipping. So what they're gonna need to do is find a way to kind of keep up with Amazon. In terms of like corporate strategy, they might look for another company that's really doing well in terms of like managing fast delivery. So kind of like with Instacart. So if Amazon decides to kind of throw Instacart away, Amazon could potentially go in and pick that right up and acquire Instacart or something kind of similar to Instacart. Say Instacart one more time. So let's get to the part that's really interesting for me or for you or anyone else, and that's how will it affect us, the consumer. And so I guess it's valid to think, okay, Amazon's in this space now, they're gonna drive down food prices, just like they did with books, like they did with some electronics. Woo, gonna get those avocados for like half the price. Not really. The issue is that with food, it's already like a super low margin industry. Let me explain what that means. So let's say it takes $2 to get those peaches from the farm to you. That's the total cost for operations, everything, $2. And then you go to the grocery store and you get to buy that for $2.05. So that profit of 5 cents relative to the $2 that's not much. There aren't a ton of profits when it comes to food, so there's only so much you can do in terms of driving down price, and I don't think that's gonna happen. But what it would do, it would make the act of buying groceries a lot more convenient for you, for me, for your mama, your daddy. And what it also would make you more likely to do is to use Amazon's other services. So if you're hooked on to buying your groceries via Amazon Fresh, then all of a sudden you'll be buying your new camera to make vlogs on Prime instead of going to Best Buy or going to a physical location or even an online store. You just will, Amazon will become your go-to. Or something to think about is Amazon getting too big? Now they have their foot or hands in almost, it seems like almost every industry, but I'll be following, so let's continue. So in addition to eating, I've also spent a lot of my weekend watching legal shows like The Good Wife, The Good Fight, catching up on Suits before the new season. And so I feel like I'm well equipped. I feel like I'm well equipped to talk about this next topic, which is the Bill Cosby trial update. I'm not that equipped. Over the past few years, dozens of women have come out and alleged that Bill Cosby had sexually assaulted or harassed them. And this past week, his huge trial was taking place in Pennsylvania, and yesterday on Saturday, the judge in that case declared a mistrial. So what does that mean? What that basically means is that the jury, which was composed of 12 people, so they all have to come to a unanimous decision, and if that doesn't happen, the judge will declare a mistrial, which is what happened this weekend. Sometimes this is hard because, like in this case, the assault took place, or the alleged assault took place in 2005, and now it's 12 years later. And because of that, juries find it difficult because like memories fade, like people might forget certain parts of the story, and then unfortunately this happens. Some juries are like, okay, like, you know, it's been 12 years, why didn't this go to court earlier? And that's hard because it's sexual assault, and those cases tend not to be like reported like right after they happen, unfortunately. Okay, so like what does that mean for Bill Cosby? Is he free to go? Is he a free man at almost 80 years old and legally blind? Is he free? No, I mean, we'll see. But what this means with a mistrial is that the prosecution has already said they're going to try and try the case again, so it's not necessarily a win. So they weren't able to decide, oh, is Bill Cosby guilty or is he not guilty? Whew, that was a lot. Okay, so I wanted to make this episode a little well-rounded, so let's get international and talk about Qatar. So Qatar is a country in the Middle East. Here's a map for you guys. Let's turn this into geography class. So let's talk about what happened. So June 5th, a few Gulf states basically came together and cut all ties with Qatar. Now, why did they do that? They are saying that Qatar is a country where they allow terrorists to kind of like roam free, and they support terrorist organizations by funding them, and also they are way too close to Iran, who they believe is a threat. So some of these countries include Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and a couple more that I'm probably forgetting right now. Well, this is nothing new. These countries didn't wake up on June 5th and say, oh, there's something fishy going on in Qatar. They've always had a sort of rocky relationship because Qatar always, in their opinion, always tried to have the best of both worlds. They had like one foot in the Middle East and one foot in the Western world. These Gulf states are hoping that because prices in food will rise because Qatar no longer has Saudi Arabia to import 40% of their food, and they're blocking Qatar Airlines from using their airspace, so like flight prices will drive up because they can no longer take the most efficient route. So they're hoping that all of these hits to their economy, to the businesses in the country, will force Qatar to basically adhere to their rules of like not having any relationships with Iran and kicking out terrorists within Qatar. Okay, so what does that mean for the US and for Middle Eastern relations? After 9/11, relationships with Arab countries has been especially important because they know their countries better than the US will ever know. And in terms of counterterrorism and sharing of intelligence, Arab countries have been very helpful to the US. They also provide air bases so that the US can bring their fighter jets there, whether they need to do some attacks in the area. So those countries have been very helpful. So it's awkward for the US to pick sides. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Okay, one last thing before I go. Congratulations are in order because Beyonce has given birth to her twins. Some of you might remember where you were when you first heard that Beyonce was pregnant with these twins, when she announced it on Instagram. But I can tell you right now, I was in a cab on my way to work with my coworker, and she said, have you seen the Instagram? And I said, no. She showed it to me, and literally 15 seconds later, it was on the radio in the cab. So I know where I was. Do you? Anyways, the twins are here. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you liked, what you'd like to see, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a great week.